Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Orthodox Banter with Boyan, and today's question comes from Redacted. The question is: Hi Boyan, what do I do if I already had my first life confession, but I feel that I wasn't specific enough in what I did and I'm worried maybe I didn't feel enough guilt or have tears, it felt a bit procedural. Do I reconfess? My priest didn't probe to get details about the sin, it was sexual. I'm worried my confession was not valid. Well, that's the question, and I'm the Boyan in question, and I hope to answer any questions you might have from my own personal knowledge and experience. If you find this video helpful, please feel free to pledge on Patreon, Subscribe Star. It really helps me out because this and Bible Illustrated and biblical drawings and everything are my full-time endeavor. So I live off of you, and you get to share in the grace of the hopefully some good that I do in this world. So let me turn back to the question. First things first. This is something to be discussed with the priest. Once this caveat is out of the way, I will provide my own personal opinion, because this is, after all, a banter channel. I'm not the bishop of the internet, even though I pretend to be. I'm not the ultimate bishop of the cosmos. Trying to, but working on it. This is all my personal opinion from a random guy in the world that you happen to like and watch. So just take it with a lot of grain of salt, with a huge hunk of salt, honestly. Okay, so my immediate thought here, besides you having to discuss this with your priest, is that you do not need to reconfess this sin that you supposedly omitted. First of all, because you said, I did not feel enough guilt or have tears. Emotionalism such as this needs to be expunged from spiritual life post-haste. Emotions are nice. It's great if you have emotional reaction to something in your spiritual life, but it should never be a basis of you judging your spiritual life. The ascetic literature of the Orthodox Church is filled with pages of how we are not supposed to give in, much less be ruled by emotions, because when we are ruled by emotion, we are essentially ruled by our passions. And I will quote Francis de Sales. He was a Catholic saint, but he expresses it beautifully. He says that people who give in to emotion in prayer, for example, and spiritual life in general, are like a child who watches a surgery being performed on their mother. And the child is crying, weeping, and everything. But if the mother were to ask for a peach that the child is holding in their hand, the child will refuse. I can tell you firsthand that I myself had these beautiful conferences with the Lord, with tears in my eyes and everything, and then I go and commit horrible sins. We must evade judging our spiritual life with this, because sometimes when our eyes are filled with tears, we might be very distant from the Lord, and when we feel completely dead on the inside and feel nothing, we might be the closest. And again, it is another recurring motive in the spiritual literature, that very often when we do things despite ourselves, because we don't feel like it and so on, it's actually more useful for us, because we are going against ourselves. We're not doing it because we're getting something out of it, even if something out of it are pretty emotions. So that's one. So just because it felt procedural and everything, dispel that notion. It's useless. Then you did not probe into the details of the sin, and the priest did not ask. I think that one of the hallmarks of a good confessor is not probing into too many details when it comes to sexual sins, because it can be temptation for him, it can be temptation for you, and it's simply a very bad idea in general to inquire with those sins. The sole details I would provide when it comes to sexual sins are whether they were done alone or with somebody else. If that somebody else or myself, are they married? Am I married? Are we of the same sex? God forbid, of the same species? And was the also, if the age is important, if I know what I mean, I would also mention that. And also if there was an element of force. Anything else, whatever you might have done, even if it was something outlandish, I would simply say during confession, I don't know, depraved acts, without going into the specifics. However depraved they might be, unless there are sort of these categories of sin that make things worse. But let me reiterate again, these are my opinions. What your priest, who actually has, experience in confession, um, he will know how to handle it better. And by the way, simply be at peace of mind. These things, this worry that you have, it can be of the devil, it can be of your own scrupulosity, maybe some, I don't know, I don't want to say OCD because that is a serious mental health issue, but a lot of us are using things in everyday talk to describe, things that we sort of feel pressured by our mind to do. But yeah, honestly, from what you've provided, I don't think you need to reconfess. But again, what I think in this instance does not matter. Simply go with your priest and do as he tells you. And what I've said in one of the previous videos, maybe it would be useful to you to mention the specific again without going into too many details to the priest directly without confession, because sometimes it's easier, and once you've done that you can then supplement the previous confession. That's it, and I hope to see you guys in one of the next videos. Bye.